Everybody, Joe coming to you from Manhattan. It's the 5th of September and it's disgusting out. It's like 90-something degrees. I can't believe it. But what I'm out doing tonight, just a little bit of playing, I've got my OM1, and what I'm doing is I'm testing that what is really a myth, that Micro Four Thirds cameras can't do high ISO, low light kind of shooting. So I'm shooting at 800 and 1600 ISO. Shooting around Manhattan, just doing some of the sights and the lights, and let's see how they look. But the key is, whenever you're shooting high ISO, is just don't underexpose. Make sure you have plenty of light, and you're going to see that even a Micro Four Thirds camera is going to produce spectacular results. And yep, there's something going on, so I'm going to get off the street. So I apologize for the noise, but as you can see behind me, I'm in Times Square, and I'm testing the camera a little bit more. Times Square is probably the ultimate challenge for shooting because the contrast ratios are so great. You can see all the illuminated signs behind me, and trying to get that in the foreground is almost impossible. You have to expose for the bright, and then you're going to have to mess with the shadows later. And here's the real fun part. I never shoot in program mode. Guess what? I'm shooting in program mode. I'm just letting the camera do its thing. I'm in 1600 ISO. And I'm using exposure compensation to try to control the brightness of the lights. In fact, I'm down 2.5 to -3 stops on exposure compensation so that the HDR compositing works. So there you go. You can shoot really high ISO dark images with the OM systems, and they come out spectacular.
So let's go through some of the samples that I shot shooting high ISO at both 800 and 1600 ISO. You can see it's not quite completely dark yet here. That's actually Madison Square Garden. And then just around the corner from the hotel is this great walk-up pizza place. And then you can see this one's at 1600 ISO. Then we have some more torture tests. Walking up the street, again, 1600 ISO. Times Square. Now that looks pretty rough, doesn't it? But oh, you just wait to see what we get. And then again, looking down 42nd Street, and you're going to see it's going to look quite different. So let's go through the process. Let's start with an easy one. This is an 800 ISO. Now I tried to expose so that nothing that had any detail in it was going to be overexposed. And of course, these lights like right here, well, if you look at that, well, yeah, there's nothing there anyway. So I'm not concerned about that. But even like the BetMGM sign, the places that are white are white. Let's see what we can do and how easy it is to edit a scene like this. So what are the problems? Well, the highlights are too bright. Let's bring them down and look at that. Now all of the highlights are actually a little too dark. I'm going to bring the shadows all the way up and then bring the overall exposure back up. Now, as I've done that, I think the image has gone a little too yellow. So I'm just going to add a little bit blue, and it's lost some saturation. So let's add some pop to this and add a little vibrance as well. And then I think lastly, oh, there's nothing going on up in the sky. Let's go ahead and make it 16:9 so it'll fit nicely in our video. And I think, about right there. And also to get you back to the middle, let's go ahead and add a vignette. So we'll go down to effects. We'll do a little bit heavier vignette. And that looks pretty good. In fact, let's get rid of the text here. And in fact, I'm going to make a copy of this so I can reset my first one. And so let's take a look. Let's take a look full screen. So there's the original raw shot. And there's our edit. Now, is there some noise in here? Well, let's zoom in. Let's zoom in to 100%. And yeah, there is actually. This one isn't actually particularly all that sharp. Possibly my fault. Let's take a look at it again. What was my shutter speed? 50th of a second, 2.8. Okay. Yeah, okay. However, Lightroom has a really cool new tool to help fix this stuff if there's any kind of noise. And let's do one where it's even going to be more noticeable. In fact, let's do a torture test. Let's go to here. Again, looking up through Times Square, this is one of the hardest places you could possibly try to photograph because the contrast is so high. And you can see I'm at 200th of a second, but I'm at 1600 ISO. All right, so we'll hide that information. Can we bring this back? So I'm going to command apostrophe to make a virtual copy of that so we have one pristine. Let's go up to basic. Now it looks like this is all gone, and we can see up in here there is some stuff that is pure white. See, if we come up to this little thing on the histogram, it shows you the things are pure white, but it's mostly things that are white text or that are pure white lights anyway. So I don't think we're going to have any trouble with that. Watch what happens. When we bring down the highlights, look, all the signs get their colors back. Yeah, it's okay to let it go too dark because now we're going to bring up all the shadows and then we'll bring up the exposure. I think I actually brought the shadows up a little too much. We want to maintain some of the black. In fact, I'm going to pull some of the contrast back in. It looks better. And in fact, I'm going to even add a little bit more black into it. Now, that quickly we went from there to there, and you could think, well, that's pretty good. But when you look at the sky over here, let's look at it at 100%, you can see there's a lot of noise in the sky. Why? Because it's something that's pretty solid black, and there's no detail. So the cameras have trouble with this, particularly higher ISO. However, Lightroom's got this really cool feature now under detail, which is its AI noise reduction. So let's click on that. Now, one thing that this software plugin cheats a little bit on is when it shows you up in here, it's actually showing you at 200%, which is cheating a little bit, I think. But as I drag over to the sky, you can see the noise. And again, that is color noise because there's no detail there, and we're at 1600 ISO. But when we let go, look at that. It's pretty much gone. So all I have to do is click on Enhance, and let's see it do its thing. And again, remember that when it shows you that detail thing, it's showing you it at 200%, which is cheating a little bit. It's making the effect look much more powerful than it really is. But look at that. Still does a pretty darn good job. And let's zoom out of that. Yeah, let's make a 16:9 out of this also. I'm going to hit R again, so it'll fit in our video. And let's see what part of this. I want to get most of the lights. Oh, tops of the people's heads, who care. I even like the slight angle to it. And yeah, that's pretty good. So virtual copy. Actually, no, I already had one. I have the original here. Let's go to full screen. We'll go back to the first one. There's the original shot taken. And there's our final shot. Now, this is 1600 ISO with a micro four thirds camera. Do you see any noise problems in here? No. And even if we go to 100%, let it draw in, look at how sharp that is. Look at how clean it is. It's just phenomenal. So you can do this. If you're going to shoot this kind of stuff, just make sure that you protect any highlights that still have detail. Now, that does not mean the white text in these backlit signs. They're going to blow out in any case. But everything else you can see got protected. It's nice and sharp, and just doing the denoise in Lightroom, it is perfectly fine. So there's a lesson for you. It's not all the cameras today, micro four thirds, APS-C, full frame, they are all great at capturing high ISO. 1600 is barely even challenging them. These cameras go up to 12,000 and more. Not that you're generally going to need to use that, but you can see here at 1600, late in the evening, this is about 9 p.m. In Times Square. Lots of lights around the street, but lots of dark with nothing going on. And you can see how it did such a phenomenal job. So the bottom line is, any of the cameras you pick up that are at least of the mid-range, are capable of capturing spectacular images at 1600 ISO. If you underexpose a little bit, you're going to add more noise. However, the new Lightroom Denoise filter that is under detail does a pretty spectacular job in cleaning that up for you. So there you go. I'll throw in a couple more samples just so you can see. I'll show you before and afters in each of those. And that's it. That's all you need to do to bring this to that. Alrighty.
So there, you saw it from here. That's it for now. I'm going to get out of Times Square and go find some dinner. So thanks for joining me. Have a great week. See you soon. Bye-bye.